What's up, everybody? Everyone doing all right? Hope so. So, quick question before we get into anything in today's video, and I still don't even know what today's video is going to be about, but I want to start it with this because I've had an idea and I want to get your thoughts on it. The F1 news videos that I did yesterday and I did one last week where we used the daily news roundup in the Seedstream app to go through bite-sized chunks of some of the kind of most topical stories from across the web that happen on any given day. Now, I seem to think you guys enjoy that. I quite enjoy doing it. You know, I read that stuff every day anyway because that's what helps to keep me up to date with some stories that I may have missed. So it seems like there's an appetite for it. So what I thought was maybe what we could do, perhaps even starting next week, if I can get this together and organised, and if you're up for it, is do a live stream video every day. So we'll trial it every day for a week and see what happens. But perhaps what I was thinking was 9 PM in the UK, so 9 PM British summertime, Monday to Friday. Why don't we do a live stream for, let's say, half an hour, but we can adjust that if it's not enough or if it's too long, where we go through the daily news stories that have cropped up from our sport. And of course, what we can do that we can't do in the regular videos that I do is you guys can contribute live there and then. You can chip in with comments and we can have a discussion together based on what you're saying and what I'm saying. We can agree or we can disagree or we can argue or we can have conversations built on what each of us is saying at the time. So I thought that could be quite interesting. And because I thought it was quite interesting, I got lost on Amazon last night at about midnight and ordered about 300 quid's worth of stuff to make it happen. That stuff won't be here for another 3 weeks. There are some delivery delays with things like capture cards and power supply for this camera, the big camera that I use that gives the best quality. However, I don't think that should stop us trialling it. I can do it from my phone, and I've just got to find ways of linking up my screen, so the information that's on the Seedstream app and putting that on your screen when you see it, as well as the images of me that you'll see talking. So there's a few complications. I'm sure it's not that hard to sort out. So I'll get my head around that. But if you're up for it, let me know. Drop me a line in the comments. Let me know if you think that could work and if you'd be up for doing it. And maybe we'll give it a try. By the way, this weekend, I'm sure many of you already know, but is an anniversary of that fateful weekend in Imola. Really dark days for Formula One, wasn't it? Today, in fact, is, I think, the anniversary of the death of Roland Ratzenberger when he had the accident. Obviously, that one much under-publicised compared to Ayrton Senna's later that same weekend. But this weekend, we definitely need to spare a thought. Just take a moment to think about them, all those that were affected by them. But also, you know, one thing that this thought process leads on to is how amazing Formula One has become as a result of those terrible days. How the safety of our sport has massively improved in no small way due to those accidents. And that's something that shouldn't be forgotten when we talk about some of these dark days of Formula One in the past. They were definitely dark days. But whenever you have something that's like that, some disaster, some terrible situation, some really difficult situation, some massive state of adversity that you have to overcome, Formula One has always managed to do that. They have always overcome it. And they normally end up coming out the other side better for it. And that's a perfect example of that. And I think if we look at the current situation we're all going through, I think we should not forget that. You know, this is a very difficult situation for Formula One, for the Formula One teams, and for everybody around the world. But if we do the right thing, if we make the right decisions, we could actually use this as a massive platform for change for good. And we could end up all coming out of this, including our sport, far stronger than we went into it. Right, now I'm going to head home because, stupidly, I came out without a coat. And it's just starting to rain, so there's a very high chance I'm going to get pretty wet. Told ya. Right, that's better. All dried off. Look, my point with all this is that we're all going through a really tough time right now. You know, we're going through a period of adversity. And things could take a turn for the worse before anything takes a turn for the better. Formula One is no different. We may well lose teams during this period of time. We might end up with a Formula One that looks very different to the one that we were all used to. But that doesn't have to necessarily be a bad thing. There are a lot of points around the old Formula One that we used to complain about a lot, that people looking in from the outside world used to complain about, used to turn their nose up, that Formula One was vulgar. You know, it was spending way too much money. It was full of rich kids that had no connection to the real world. Some of those points are difficult to argue. And I'm one of these people that loves this sport more than anything. I've enjoyed the benefits of it. I've lived my life as a result of working in Formula One, and I feel stronger and very appreciative to have done so. But it's difficult to say that there aren't a lot of things that could be done a lot better with our sport. And given that we're going through this tough time and the world is going through it as well, it does feel like the perfect opportunity to make changes. We've already made changes to the governance of the way this sport's run. We no longer need every single member of the Formula One teams community to agree on making a change. That's a huge step forward. How many times have we been frustrated because we couldn't push through what seemed like simple, beneficial rule changes because we couldn't agree, because the teams always had their own interests at heart over the interests of the sport? Well, that's now become a bit easier to achieve. So what could we do? What changes could we make? Things like bringing in budget caps, stopping the teams spending so much money. I've been reading stories about whether we should get rid of the team's motorhomes within the paddock. Now, on one hand, you could look at that story and go, you know, they are amazing bits of engineering. They are glitzy and glamorous. They're one of the things that makes Formula One stand out from anything else. When you see them on TV and you see the A-list celebrities, the big cheeses from some of the world's biggest companies being wined and dined in them, you see their value. Ron Dennis once said to us at McLaren, it was well worth spending the incredible sum of money that we spent on our latest motorhome because over $100 million worth of business was done in the previous one. On that level, you perhaps can see some value in it. But on the other hand, if the world is struggling and we're going through this incredible global recession where people are being hit, their wallets are being hit left, right and centre, and yet we've still got a sport that's frivolously throwing money away on things that may not be necessary, when we're charging huge sums of money to go and watch a race, when we're flying through private jets, private aviation, we're going to all these extravagant lengths. Is that going to be acceptable in the public eye? Because that matters, doesn't it? The public opinion of Formula One does matter. And you can say it doesn't, but it does, because public opinion is what decides whether people tune in to watch or not. And if people lose faith, if they lose a connection to our sport and the people within it, well, they won't watch anymore. So we do have to make the right decisions, and sometimes it can take a big event to do that. Safety in our sport was revolutionised off the back of a tragic incident on that weekend all those years ago in Imola. I wonder if the entire sport and the way that it's perceived could be revolutionised off the back of what's going on now. Anyway, let me know, what could we do? What should we do to make this sport not only better in a sporting sense, but more accepted and more enticing? What kind of things, what kind of changes can we do to help that process along? Drop me a line in the comments. Let me know what you would do to improve our sport and make it better and make it more attractive to the masses. And also let me know, would you tune in? Will you tune in next week if we go live every evening at 9 p.m. in the UK, just for half an hour or so, picking out some of the biggest stories of the sport from that day and having a discussion between us all, online, live on YouTube. I think it could be great fun. I'd love to know what you think as well. So drop me a line in the comments, hit me up, and I will get back to you. And I'll see you again very soon. Have a good day. Ta-da.